Welcome back, everyone, to this second session of the evening. It is my privilege to introduce Dr. Narayan Sharma, an esteemed academic and dedicated educator who will be speaking today on holistic and multidisciplinary education. Professor Narayan Sharma is a distinguished educationist, conservation biologist, and ecologist with over 2 decades of experience in education and wildlife research in Northeast India. He has made significant contributions to ecology, conservation biology, primatology, human-wildlife interaction, human ecology, urban ecology, and citizen science. His interdisciplinary expertise exemplifies the essence of holistic education. He serves as a faculty member in the Department of Environmental Biology and Wildlife Sciences at Cotton University in Guwahati, and as an adjunct professor at the National Institute of Advanced Studies in Bengaluru. Notably, he was the first head of the newly established Department of Environmental Biology and Wildlife Sciences at Cotton University, a testament to his leadership in shaping this top-tier department. His guidance has inspired countless students, many of whom have secured prominent positions in organizations both within India and abroad. Dr. Sharma earned his doctoral degree from the National Institute of Advanced Studies and Manipal University. He later served as a postdoctoral fellow at the Nature Conservation Foundation, one of India's leading organizations focused on nature conservation initiatives. In the realm of education, Dr. Sharma has been a pioneer in integrating contemporary developments into his teaching methodologies. He has conducted workshops in primate census and survey techniques at the student conferences on conservation sciences at the Indian Institute of Science, Bengaluru, and taught modules on biodiversity conservation and management for range forest officer courses at the Central Academy for State Forest Service in Assam. A passionate advocate for citizen science, his commitment to citizen science is evident through initiatives like the Guwahati Bird Count, which engages the public in ecological research and fosters a deeper connection with the environment. Among his many accolades, he is a nominated member of the IUCN Primate Specialist Group in South Asia and the Assam State Biodiversity Board, and he's also the recipient of the Vice Chancellor's Award for Exemplary Service from Cotton College State University, now known as Cotton University. Dr. Sharma's dedication to interdisciplinary learning and his efforts to bridge the gap between academia and the public align seamlessly with the principles of holistic and multidisciplinary education. His insights promise to enrich our understanding of how integrated approaches to knowledge can equip us to address complex environmental challenges. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Narayan Sharma to share his perspectives and experiences with us. Thanks for making the time, Professor Sharma.
Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to share some of the work that I've been doing for the last 20 years or so. Basically, I'll be talking initially about the state of the environment and with a special focus on Northeastern India, and what are the different kind of work that we have been doing, particularly in Northeast India and also the Cotton University. To begin with, so there was this a new paper which was published in journal Science Advances. So the title is a little bit scary. So if you look at the title, it says Earth Beyond 6 of 9 Planetary Boundary. So and if you look at the image on the right hand side, so it ranges from green to almost violet color. So greens are safe operating space, and as you go towards the right side, so the zone become increasingly risky. And at the very end of this spectrum, there is a high risk zone. And if you see this 9 planetary boundaries, so now these 9 planetary boundaries are very crucial for sustaining life on Earth. And if you look at the uh, picture here, so 6 of this 9 planetary boundary have already been reached. So this was and the most important aspect area where we really need to think very carefully is the biosphere integrity and the functional thing. So biosphere integrity and the functional thing is at the realm of the biodiversity. So I'll be talking more about how the uh, biodiversity loss is happening at an unprecedented way. Uh, so there was this global living planet index, which was recently been published by WWF and the Geological Society of London, and that depict a very scary picture of what biodiversity is, the status of biodiversity throughout the world. So the Living Planet Index measures the average changes in abundance, that is the population, in 34,836 population across 5,495 native species, and in relative to the year 1970. So assuming that 1970, these populations were almost 100%. And if you see the graph here, it's declining very, very rapidly. And in fact, almost 73% on an average, wildlife population have declined during this period between 2020 and 1970. So this leads us to ask why so much of biodiversity loss. So the biodiversity, as all of we know, that it's a very important for not only for say plant or animal species, but it is the loss of biodiversity is very crucial for the survival of the human being as well. So the first driving factor of this severe biodiversity loss is the climate change. So when we talk about the climate change, so I'm just trying to give you a very basic understanding how the climate change can impact the biodiversity. So, so if you can see here is so there is a caterpillar, there are birds, and then this there is an emergence of the young leaf. So in general, when there is a emergence of young leaves, so the insect synchronize themselves in such a way that when there are young leaves, so the caterpillar emerges. And when the caterpillars emerges, then these birds feed on the caterpillar. So there is a very nice synchrony between the emergence of young leaves, emergence of caterpillar, and the bird breeding season. So what happens if the young leaves start, say, appearing earlier? So when the young leaves start appearing earlier than the usual, the caterpillar can, when the caterpillar come, so they will not get the young leaf. So as a result, a lot of the caterpillar dies, and when the caterpillar dies, the bird will not have the caterpillar for their food. So there is a how we call this is the phenological mismatch. So as a result, so this delicate say equilibrium between the bird, caterpillar, and the young leaves, that become disturbed, and as a result, so there is a huge mortality in insect as well as the bird population. So this has been documented in various systems, and this is one of the very important feature what climate change can do. For example, because of the climate change, there is an early appearance of the young leaves in many tropical areas. So that can have a very deeper impact on this entire predatory and prey relationship. So there was a paper published in Science, which talks about the response of these three fish species towards the climate change, because as the ocean water, the temperature increasing, and the three fish species start migrating towards the pole. Okay, so if you can see this image here on the left hand side, so the American lobster, so in 1950s, they have moved towards the pole, and so does the red hat and the black sea bass. So these are the points where, if you can see, so all three fish species are moving towards the north side. So this is in response to the warming water in the ocean. So the second big factor that leading the biodiversity loss throughout the world is the habitat loss and the fragmentation. I'll just play this animation so you can see. This is from the Amazonian region. So initially the entire area is very pristine, so no disturbance. Then there is an emergence of a road, and that road leads to habitat loss and the further degradations and the fragmentations of the forest. So this kind of a fragmentation we call as the fishbone kind of a fragmentation. For example, there will be emergence of one big road, and then the lateral roads start emerging, and as a result there will be more roads and there will be more deforestation. So this is another place where there is a huge loss of forest cover, and if you can see here, so this is mostly because of the expansion of the palm. This Indonesia and the Malaysia are world largest palm producers. So as a result of the expansion of the palm cultivations, the lot of the tropical forest in these two countries has been cleared to give the palm cultivations. So throughout the world, there is the biodiversity is also in peril because of the practice called the shifting cultivation. So shifting cultivation is mostly done in the mountainous areas, mostly in the northeastern states and in other part of India as well. And throughout the world, this shifting cultivation or the zoom cultivation or slash and burn cultivation is being practiced. So what happened in this kind of a practice? So one patch of forest, they clear this patch of forest, then they will cultivate something in this patch, then they will move to another patch next year, and then on the rotation basis, they will come to this patch after say 5 or 10 years. So as a result, the forest in that area become highly degraded. So one very important driver of biodiversity loss throughout the world is the invasive alien species. So I called it as IAS. So invasive alien species are those species which are not native. For example, if you see this here, it's a water hyacinth. So it has clogged the entire water body. So you can just assume that what will happen to say birds which loves the open water birds, or the fish which are underneath this this mat of water hyacinth. So there are many ways by which this invasive species is spread in many parts of the world. So it is mostly sometimes accidental and sometimes it's deliberate. For example, this water hyacinth came as an ornamental plant during the British time, and Lady Hastings, so she planted it in her backyard on her pond, and from there this water has escaped, and then it spread rapidly. And right now, if you come to Northeast India, so almost all the wetlands or the water bodies are infected by the invasive species. So there is one very nice example how invasive species can say disturb biodiversity. So there was this Guam island, and this brown tree snake was introduced in Guam island in 1960. It was apparently accidental introduction to that island, and this snake, because there was no natural predator, as a result, the snake uh, reproduce vigorously in that island, and their number increases tremendously. So there was one estimate which said that in the just 1 square kilometer of area, there were more than 6,000 brown tree snakes. So they not only incurred a lot of damage to the say biodiversity, but also they have created a lot of problems to the habitations there. So they were responsible for eliminating or making the local extinctions of 10 out of 12 bird species from the island, and 2 out of 3 Guam's native bat species were also locally extinct thanks to this invasive species. So what will happen when the birds or say bats are disappeared from an area? So there was a study done by Rogers et al. In 2017, and they found that since the dispersal, since the disappearance of these birds, so dispersal of at least 2 of these plant species were hampered. So they found that the regeneration of these 2 plant species were not happening in Guam Islands, or the islands where this tree snake has created havoc and created the local extinctions of bird species. So this clearly demonstrates that the invasive species not only eliminate the local bird or flora, so fauna, but also they have an indirect effect on the dispersal and the regeneration of the flora as well. One of the contested driver of biodiversity loss are the dams. Yes, we agree that we need dams because dams are touted as the most green energy, clean energy, but dams have also caused a lot of issues, particularly with the migratory fish. So in one study, they found that the population of the migratory freshwater fish have plunged since 1970s. So that was in North America, Europe, Latin America, and Asia and Oceania. Because there are fish species which need sometimes fresh water as well as the brackish water or the sea water. So they keep migrating between different waters. So when there was dam established along their path, so they cannot say go from one area to another. As a result, the population have dwindled in most of the areas where the dam was built. One very less studied but very prominent threat to biodiversity is the linear infrastructure. When I talk about the linear infrastructure, that means the road, the railways, the power lines, canals, etc. So this picture is from a place where I worked for during my PhD. It's a Holanga Pargiban Wildlife Sanctuary. And you can see this is a python, very slow moving species. And you can see that there is a railway line which is bisecting this forest. It's going through the forest. And while traveling from one fragment to the another fragment of this forest. So this species was hit by the railway, and it has lost its life. And this is a very tragic end of one of the species. It's called the cap langur. In the morning, I went to the forest to study some other monkeys, and I saw this troop of cap langur. And when I came in the evening, I hit something, and I found that it was the carcass of the uh, cap langur. So the linear infrastructures are creating a lot of biodiversity loss. In fact, there was one study in Kaziranga. They said that on an average, I think yearly there is more than I think 20,000 species, not the species, the individuals of various species were killed in that track. So these are the global issues, but I think a lot of these issues are also relevant in case of Northeast India. Northeast India, as all of you know, is the global biodiversity hotspot. So one of the global biodiversity hotspot. In fact, there are two biodiversity hotspots which are found here. One is the Indo-Burma, and another is the Himalayas. And this biodiversity hotspot are the reservoir of biodiversity. There are two criteria of any area to be designated as the biodiversity hotspot. One is that the area should have at least 1,500 species, endemic plant species. And the second is that it should have lost at least 70% of its original forest cover. So that's why you'll not see places like Sulawesi and Papua New Guinea as a biodiversity hotspot, but Northeast India, both Himalaya and the Indo-Burma, they have lost at least 70% of the original forest cover, and these two areas have at least 1,500 endemic plant species. That means it's plant species which are not found anywhere else in the world. And these are the two biodiversity hotspot areas. So in India, we have 4 biodiversity hotspot. One is, as I told you, Himalaya and Indo-Burma. Another is the Western Ghat and Sri Lanka. And the 4th biodiversity hotspot is in the Sundaland. So part of Nicobar is part of this Sundaland biodiversity hotspot. And Northeast India is still a biological frontier. So there are new species which are being discovered regularly. So recently there was this species which were discovered from Northeast India. Though the local knew about this species, but they have different kind of a name. But this species was new to science. So scientists assigned this species as a white-cheeked macaque. Then there is a new species, another species of macaque, which is called the Arunachal macaque, which was also found from Northeast India. And this particular very small bird species called the Bugun leochicla, it's a new species, and you'll be surprised to know that this the entire distribution, global distribution of this species is in the single wildlife sanctuary. So less than 5 square kilometer area, the species is found only in that area, nowhere else in the world. So the name Bugun means the scientist who discovered this species, they named this species after the local community called the Bugun. So Bugun leochicla is the common name of this species. And it's not only the species level, but also many other amphibia species were also found. In fact, an entire family of limbless amphibia were found from the Northeast India. And Northeast India is also very high in endemism. For example, this pygmy hog, very few individuals left in the wild. So, thanks to a very successful conservation story that I'll talk to you about that a little later, this species have made a comeback. So, very few individuals were left in the wild, and these are found only in one national park, and that is the Manas National Park. Right now, they are reintroduced in other areas of Assam as well. So there are certain mutualistic associations between species, and this particular louse is a uh, specialist. So it only found in the pygmy hog. So that means the if the pygmy hog become extinct, this louse will also uh, will be extinct. So this is also a critically endangered species. So along with the pygmy hog. And there are this greater Edgerton stocks. So there are around 1,200 individuals left in the wild, and these are found only in Northeast India, and perhaps the 75% global population is found in Guwahati city. So, and most of these species are in the garbage dump, which is at the outskirts of the Guwahati city. So this area, there are tropical picture plant, which is scientific name is the Nepenthes khasiana. So this species is only found in Meghalaya and part of Assam towards the Jaintia hills. So nowhere else in the world. So this is the picture plant. So this plant generally take nutrients by killing the insect, and this is entirely endemic to Northeast India. And why this extraordinary biodiversity in Northeast India? So, what are the reasons for this? Because one reason is that the Northeast India lies at a very confluence of Oriental and the Sino-Japanese biogeographical realms. So, when a place lies between two biogeographical realms, that area is usually very rich in biodiversity because it has elements of both biogeographical realms, and biogeographical realms are those areas which has the common evolutionary history. So in north, that's why in Northeast India we have many elements of Oriental or species which originated at Oriental, as well as species which were originated at the Sino-Japanese. And just like global cause of biodiversity, so Northeast India, so we are losing a lot of habitats. So there is a habitat loss, and fragmentation is the primary reason for the biodiversity loss here. And as I already told you, there is a issue of big dams. So all these dots are either proposed or ongoing dams in the state of Arunachal Pradesh. So if you can see that, if you say stop the flow of the river like this, the repercussion will be very high, particularly for the species, freshwater fish species, which needs uninterrupted waterways to go to and fro. So from this map, you can see the amount of impact that can happen to the freshwater fishes. And not only that, when the dams are built, large area upstream becomes submerged, and there is the lower stream. There are a lot of socioeconomic issues that comes with the establishment of dams. One very important emerging threat, I'll say, is the oil palm plantation. Uh, so India usually import palm oil from Indonesia and the Malaysia, uh, but there was a lot of emphasis given to uh, make India self-reliant on the oil palm. So that's why the two areas that were earmarked uh, are Northeast India and the Andaman and Nicobar. So as a result, there is an aggressive policy that promote aggressive expansion of the oil palm plantations. However, since this is a monoculture, this is not a native species here, so it can create a lot of problems because these are not an ideal habitat of, say, many animal species. Plus, because of the monoculture, the species will not be utilizing any of this. And more importantly, the oil palms are uh, can flourish in those areas where there are the tropical forests. So if you put a map of tropical forest and the potential areas where oil palm can be cultivated, so it match perfectly. So the expansion will be at the cost of the tropical forest in northeastern India. So this is an emerging threat to the biodiversity of northeast India. And as I told you, the shifting cultivation, though many researchers talk about the many benefits of shifting cultivations, but still shifting cultivation is posing a threat. However, if you compare shifting cultivation with the oil palm, so shifting cultivation is still better than the oil palm because when you do a shifting cultivation in one patch, so you leave that patch for 5 or 6 years, and that patch become regenerated. So and the species can use many bird species, many other species can use those areas. Whereas if you convert an area for the oil palm, the entire land is locked, so you cannot do anything here. So if you look at these two land use in comparison, so the shifting cultivation is a much better option than the palm oil cultivation. The hunting, as you know, Northeast India, there is a penchant for hunting. So the people hunt for food and sometimes to procure some of the animal product for they wanted to keep it as a trophy. So because of the hunting, many species of birds become the population of many species have come down. So if you go to Nagaland and other areas, so though you will see very good forest, there will be tall trees, but you will not find any large mammals or large birds. Okay, those forests are called the empty forest. So and poaching, as you perhaps know, the rhino horn is a very fetch very good international money. So that's why these rhinos are killed and the horns are extracted. Uh, Fortunately, there is the protection for rhino in Kaziranga National Park that supports almost 75% of global population. So there is because of the strict protection, so the poaching incidents have come down drastically now. One very important aspect of human like a biodiversity loss is the negative human wildlife interaction. So I'm calling it negative because there is a loss for both wildlife as well as the human. So negative wildlife interactions happen when so as you can see here, this is the herd of the elephants that are invading the crops here. So as a result, the humans are losing the crops, and the elephants. Sometimes people resort to retaliatory killing, and thereby they kill some of the elephants. So this is human wildlife conflict, and particularly human elephant conflict is a very, very burning issue in northeastern India. So mining is another important factor that is clearing a lot of tropical forests. If you go to Assam, near Tinsukia and Tinsukia area, so you will see that there are a lot of mining activity that happening, and all these mining activities are at the biodiversity hotspot area or the areas that is a rich biodiversity values. So is the future so bleak in northeastern India? So I say there is still hope. For example, as I already told you, protection does work. So the conservation success story, the one on rhinoceros, they make a remarkable comeback in Kaziranga from less than 200 individuals. So now Kaziranga hosts close to 3,000 rhino population. So that's the huge success story. But it was happened because of the very, very strict protection accorded to rhinos in Kaziranga National Park. So now most of these rhinos are translocated in areas where there were rhino earlier, and due to some reason they were eliminated from those areas, and now the reintroduction program is happening in most of the park in Assam. And one very important thing is that if we need conservation success in northeastern India, we really need to work with the community. And here you can see this community. They are called the Ghora Abe. So this is near the Pake Tiger Reserve in Arunachal Pradesh, and where the local people start adopting the nest of the hornbill. So as you know, this is very typical of hornbill that during the breeding season, the female of hornbill will go inside the hole and she lay eggs, and from the inside she close the hole. And the male hornbill job is to bring food to the female. So unless the female raise the hatchlings, so she will not come out. So if something happened to male, so if you kill a male during that breeding season, you are not only killing the male, but you are also killing the female and the her infant inside the tree hole. So because of this unique breeding strategy, so the locals started protecting, first identifying the trees where there are hornbill nests, and they are protecting this nest, and they are adopting these trees until the hornbill, say father and mother, they raise their kid and they flew. So this is a very important initiative that was possible only with the help of the community in Arunachal. So another conservation success story is about the reintroduction of pygmy hog, and pygmy hog is a wild pig which is smaller than the pig that you see in the wild. So the population of pygmy hog is reduced drastically. There were less than 150 individuals. I think even lesser than that. And the only option left was to bring some of this pygmy hog into a breeding center, so which was established near Guwahati, and then breed them there, and then again reintroduce them in the wild. So it was easier said than done. So these people whom you are seeing in this picture, they have dedicated almost 30 years of their life in raising this pygmy hog in the captivity and releasing them back to the field, back to the areas where pygmy hog were present earlier, but become locally extinct. So another conservation success story is the Amur falcon. Amur falcon is the bird that used to go for wintering in the South Africa. And on the way to South Africa, they used to make a halt at Nagaland, and they comes in millions, you know. And when they come to Nagaland, and the people there, they used to catch them and they kill them. And because this was reported, and there was a lot of hue and cry from the conservation NGOs, and because of this, the community came again with the help of the NGOs, and they convinced the communities not to kill them, and rather to save these visitors. So as a result, so now right from like a killing of thousands of these birds into almost zero killing. So now the community is taking pride in saving this species. So now nobody kills this species. So they come to Nagaland, halt there, and then they make their journey to South Africa. So then there are this lot of talks about the ecological restoration. So we have lost most of the forest, or we have either for the conversion for other land use or human settlements. And is it possible to bring some of these areas? Is it possible to restore some of these areas? So this is a very, very success story of restoring some of these degraded areas in the Annamalai Hills. And but we still in Northeast India, we still have so the restoration work has not done in that scale, but there are now alliances, there are individual organizations which are working on restoration of forest. So for the restoration work, they established these nurseries, and they collected the seed of the native species from the forest, and then when the seedlings become a plantable sizes, and they are planting in these different areas. So you can see there are these patches which were in 2007, it was almost barren, and presently in 2021, so you can see the forest is revived. And similarly, this is the naturally regenerated forest. So they let some of these areas to grow by themselves, and then other restored sites. Whereas the naturally regenerated forest, it took a lot of time, because there is a this process is hampered because of the presence of the invasive species. Whereas if you say assist some of these areas, so you can help regenerate those degraded patches. So the next thing that I want to discuss something is the citizen science. So citizen science is also a very important areas that is helping say understanding some of the patterns in the biodiversity, and also understanding some of the conservation issues throughout the world. So this is the general public engagement in scientific research activities, when citizens actively contribute to science, either with their intellectual effort or surrounding knowledge, or with their tools and resources. The growth of citizen science, because in general, we think that science is a profession, but for many people, science is also a hobby. And there is a stereotype about science and the scientists. So scientists always should wear the white gown, and they are always in the laboratory. But that's not how scientists work. There is a changing science in the fundamental way by making it a collaboration between professional scientists and the public, and making science visible and accessible. So is there any way we can make science visible and accessible to the common citizen. So there is a limit to scientists and the power of collaboration. So it's an age of big data. If you, in order to say, if I wanted to understand the conservation status of certain birds, so I alone cannot do that. So I need a lot of people and lot of collaborations. So there is a shift from science for the people to science by the people. I think there is a shift in the thinking of how science is perceived by the people. And to give you an example, this is a citizen science project. This is Assam Biodiversity Portal. And this gentleman is Vijay Anand Ismail. So he's a doctor by profession. And he used to work in a hospital near Assam, a remote place. And during that time, there was a forest called Makunda Forest. He was successfully convinced the authorities, the hospital administrator or authorities, to preserve that piece of the land, and by documenting the biodiversity. And he has contributed almost 6,179 photos and different photos of different plants, animals, insects, and of them he was able to identify 6,035 of those specimens or the photos. So he has contributed to the growth of the citizen science in the Assam Biodiversity Portal. And this is a very interesting observation. So you all know about the cherry blossom. So right now in Meghalaya, there is a festival called Cherry Blossom. And in Tokyo, in Japan, so they used to record the arrival, the first blossom of the cherry. This was one scientist. He put all this data together, and from the 800 to 2016, he put this data, and this data is clearly showing that the cherries are blossoming earlier than the, say, previous years. Okay, so he, based on this, he suspect that this is due to the climate change. So we need this kind of a longitudinal data also to make some of the inferences which we are lacking currently. So this is the another citizen science projects, and this each dots here represents one species, and there are 118 dots. That means there are 118 species. And as you can see, these dots are moving from South America, and they're moving towards the North America and then coming back. So that means these species are migrating from, so annual migration from the South or the Central America to the North. Okay. And how it was possible? It was not the radio collared or the fitted with some GPS transmitter. So these are the records that being entered by the citizens at simultaneously at the different locations. So based on this, we can have this kind of a very, very finer level of information, how species migrate to and fro to these areas. So in India, we have something called the Indian bird count. So where we are counting birds almost daily, and this based on this exercise. So every year they release the State of the India birds. This was released in 2023. And the highlight of this report is that the 942 Indian birds were assessed for their conservation priority. Close to 30,000 bird watchers contributed almost 30 million observation analyzed, and this observation were analyzed and for the trend and the distribution. So based on this data, people are making some very interesting observation. For example, what do you think about the status of the house sparrow? Because most of the time we keep hearing that the population of the house sparrows were declining, whereas it is declining, but it is not declining so badly compared to the other species. Okay. So what do you think about the status of the Indian peafowl? So is it increasing, decreasing, or remain stable? So this report found that the population of the Indian peafowl, which we call the peacock, has increased rapidly. So, for example, in some part of the Kerala where this species was not found earlier, so this species start appearing in those areas as well. So now I'll talk about some of the work that we are doing in Cotton University. And Cotton University, as you know, is one of the oldest university in India. So it was established in 1901. So it is almost 123 years old. So it was earlier called Cotton College. So this department was established, Department of Environmental Biology and Wildlife Sciences was established in 2015. And since then, we have been doing a lot of work inside the campus. And we believe that the conservation science is a multidisciplinary subject. And we need to address conservation problems not by the ecology or the biology of the species, but also by looking at, say, other discipline as well. For example, there are importance of economy in conservation, the importance of sociology in conservation, so sustainable development, climate science, ethics. So it's a kind of a mixture of all these subjects. So the conservation science, as we teach in the Cotton University, is kind of a multidisciplinary subject. And so we have been doing a lot of activities. So one of the activities is the mainstreaming biodiversity in the cotton curricula, and trying to aware people about the rich biodiversity that we have. So in fact, a lot of the biodiversity are in the campus itself. And we engage in experiential and the immersive learning, so which is the basis for building compassion, empathy, and the love towards nature. So we believe that if we engage people in the nature-based or nature-related activities, they will learn more, and perhaps they can build compassion and empathy for the other beings as well. And we have been doing cotton bird campus, bird count since 2016. So as you can see here, our former Vice Chancellor, Professor Dhruva Jyoti Soikia. So he was also instrumental in starting this cotton bird count. So since 2016, we have started counting the birds, and all this data were uploaded in the eBird portal, and that's how you can see that we have contributed a bit towards this status of Indian birds. And we have put the board of all the bird species which are found in Cotton campus. So there are close to 63 bird species we have found so far in the campus. I'll not play this. And some of this data were also used by others in some of the literature. For example, there is a paper came out, which is the biodiversity significance of a small habitat patch. More than half of Indian bird species are in the academic campuses. This paper used the data from the Cotton campus also. And we are also doing some of the rewilding activities. We called it the rewilding the mind and the soul. So all this book which we have published or which we have created, these are purely from the these species are found only in the Northeast India, or not only in the Northeast India, but most of these species are found in the Northeast India. So it's not like we are say using it's not Z equal to zebra. So we are not including zebra here as a wild alphabet. So we have a different species for that. This is also another initiative. So we have put this wall mural in a distinct locations in the university. So all these species are found in our campuses. So some of the artists, they did this wall painting. And we have started something called the tree walk, because this is an initiative to discover, appreciate, and conserve our trees. Every month we do a tree walk where we discuss about the diverse flora of the campus, and also some of the history and or culture, the trees. Some of the stories about the trees and how these trees are appearing in our culture. And what are their ecological significance? So this is kind of imparting knowledge to the new generation. So our purpose is to understand the trees around us and to develop deep appreciation for them. And we have also started a new value-added course. So this is a very interesting course where almost more than 75% classes are outside the four wall of the classroom. So I take the students outside, and we do a lot of nature activities. So this is very important because the natural history, as I think all of you know, is the fundamental to understand ecology, evolution, conservation, and the educations. So these are some of the uh, important aspect of the natural history observations. So I would like to highlight few important aspect why nature watching or why bird watching is important. So this girl was part of our bird watch activities. So after that exercise, she came and she told me about her experience. I am just reading it here. So a typical phase of anxiety and depression comes to most of the Indian students' life exactly after class 12, whether medical or engineering. If you are interested in none, you are in serious trouble, as I was. Obviously, as I was not interested, I could not clear any of them and had to drop a year after class 12. Due to the pressure from everybody, I got so depressed that I secluded myself from everyone except my family, and that's the period when I started birding. I started bird watching just to spend some time with nature and to keep myself engaged with something, and slowly, without my knowledge, it became a hobby for me. The way birding helped me to take care of my mental health is inexplainable. When you spot a bird, being able to identify it, the joy of you feel is priceless. I spent a whole year by keeping birding as my only friends and finally overcome that phase of loneliness and depression to go ahead in my life with a new hobby. So this is the kind of a very very encouraging stories that we get. And this girl from a from a college in Guwahati, so she went to a very premier institute called Wildlife Institute of India, where she did a master's in wildlife sciences, and now currently she's in Africa and she's working on the meerkats. So this nature observations are is very important because one very important contribution by Richard Love is this book called The Last Child in the Wood. and where he said that as most of us are now indoor, spending a lot of time indoor, and that makes us alienated from nature and perhaps more vulnerable to negative moods and the reduced attention span. So he suggested that we should take kids to the natural places, and because the kids are developing something called the nature deficit disorder. So as a result, their attention spans are very low, and they are vulnerable to the negative mood swing. So George Monbiot, one of the very influential columnists in UK, he said that if children lose contact with nature, they won't fight for it, because we need the nature, and if children are not fighting it, so it will be a disaster. So with half of their time is spent at the screen, the next generation will be poorly equipped to defend the natural worlds from harm. So he cautioned us that we really need to take students out and make them, it's kind of a reconnections with the nature. So I'd like to end my talk here with this quote by Baba Diom. So he said, in the end, we will conserve only what we love. We will love what we understand, and we'll understand only what we are taught. So with this word, I again thank the organizer for giving me this opportunity to share some of the insights that I have gained during my time. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot, Professor Narayan Sharma. That was a wonderful talk, and obviously a very important one that everybody needs to keep in mind. And I'm sure most of people are painfully aware of the importance of conservation of nature and ecological systems, and also for highlighting some of the things that you and your people at your university are doing, and I'm sure other university could also be doing locally to ensure that we we just save our ecology from the destruction it is bound, I mean, pretty much bound to happen.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks a lot, Professor Narayan Sharma, again for taking the time this evening and giving a wonderful talk.
Thank you so much.